Today I want to talk about the difference between kava and kratom. These are two very different compounds, but they can often overlap in the kratom use community. Kava is a root. It is a plant that can be ground up, and the active ingredient in them, kava lactones, can produce sedation and a calming effect because it acts on the GABAergic system in your brain. GABA is your brain's natural neurotransmitter inhibitor. This means that your brain has a natural way to produce calm and relaxation when neurotransmission is getting out of control. In other words, when you're feeling overly stressed, overly anxious, or restless. The brain releases GABA and calms you down naturally. Kava helps mimic that result. Kratom, on the other hand, is a tree, and it has leaves that are ground up and synthesized into the products that are out there today, often at high concentrations, and the alkaloids in kratom, metragenine and 7-hydroxymetragenine, better known as 7-Os, bind to opioid receptors. The same way that any pharmaceutical drug binds to opioid receptors, your mu-opioid receptors, and this induces a state of euphoria. This is why kratom products are so addicting. Now, kava doesn't have a high likelihood of dependence, which means that you can take it, and you can take it somewhat frequently, and your likelihood of getting addicted to it is quite low. However, with kratom, totally different story, especially if we're packed with metragenine and 7-hydroxymetragenine, the two psychoactive ingredients that bind to opioid receptors in your brain. You may have seen these around town in your gas stations or advertised outside of a smoke shop. These are kava kratom, quote, botanical health tonics, which is absolute trash. It's garbage, and if you've ever had them, you know they taste like hot garbage. They're packed with kratom. And, anecdotally, this was my introduction to kratom, and it started me on addiction. I was taking these things thinking that they were packed with kava because that's how they were marketed. And then I went to Whole Foods because I didn't want to take them because they taste so bad. And I got a tincture of kava, and I waited 20 to 30 minutes. Nothing happened. It's like, well, what's wrong? I thought this was a kava drink. So I went back and got more of these. Well, I found out 2 months later that they were just jam-packed with the alkaloids from the kratom leaf. And that's why I liked them so much. And that really opened up the door for me to find out more about kratom extracts, which dominated my life for the next year. Bottom line here is, if you're looking for something that can be an anxiolytic, which is fight anxiety, or something to help sedate you, which could be another term for relax you, kava and the kava lactones in there could be quite effective. But on the other hand, things like kratom extracts and 7-hydroxys should never be confused with kava, because they're just totally different. They act on totally different systems in your brain, and they produce totally different effects on your body. If you know someone that is taking these drinks and thinks that they are just kava drinks, please talk to them about this, because you could end up literally saving their life just by having a conversation about what we discussed today. I hope y'all are doing well. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.